Welcome, and here we go again. I'm here today to review Fugitive of the Judoon, the 5th episode of Series 12. Last night on JTV 1963's channel, me and JTV 1963 gave our first thoughts on the episode, and now I've thought it through a bit more, and I'm going to give my full reactions for that. So I think I'll probably leave that video in the comments section so you can have a watch of it. What did I think then? Wow. It was pretty great, wasn't it? For the first time in the Jodie Whittaker era, I did think this was above a good. I thought this was a great piece of Doctor Who television. Whether it stands the test of time, I haven't rewatched it because I think there's so many shocks going on here. There's so many exciting moments. There's so many big moments. I don't think you could repeat the experience of watching this the first time round again. I think when you're watching it the first time round, the flaws don't seem as apparent because there's so many exciting stuff going on. So much exciting stuff. And I don't know, I think there's probably more I'd pick up on the second time round, but it was such a wonderful experience to watch this, and it's the most shocked I've been watching a Doctor Who episode since Name the Doctor, at least, because it was just fantastic in quite a few ways. Wasn't perfect. I won't say it's perfect. I mean, the Judoon as a whole, a bit disappointing. The fact that they could retcon the whole of Doctor Who history could be a bit annoying. And the story was a bit weak, and there were a few sort of expositional dumps. But all of those things, come to expect them. Let's go on to this episode. So there's a lot to talk about here. This is the most bold, ambitious Doctor Who episode in a long time, definitely of the Jodie Whittaker era, and it shows that Chibnall's finally taking risks. So the Judoon, as I said, weren't that important to the story, even though they're in the title. They were just there to sort of introduce, spoilers by the way, the new Doctor. And sort of set up the whole thing, but they didn't really appear that much. They didn't really need to do that much in the grand scheme of things. Jodie Whittaker, once again, yeah, she's finally got it. She finally feels like the Doctor to me, and it's taken a long time for that. But from Spyfall Part 2, every episode she has improved upon her performance and is getting better and better and feeling more and more like the Doctor, and I'm starting to actually quite like her, so well done, Jodie. Companions, they didn't really need to do much. I guess the return of a particular character sort of highlighted for me how dull they are in comparison to this particular character, because of the fact they had scenes, but they had some nice little moments. I think Ryan's speech at the end, Ryan's little speech was quite good. Not necessarily because of the acting of Toz and Cole, but because of the way it was written. And yeah, there were some nice little companion moments, but it wasn't about the companions, and it didn't need to be. They didn't need to appear in it any more than they did, or get any development really, because they don't really. They're sort of inconsequential to the plot. They just sort of needed to introduce element of the plot that was coming up. So this episode was basically based around the story arc, which is something we haven't had a while, a whole episode based around a story arc that isn't the series finale. I think probably we haven't had something like that since probably Good Man Goes to War. So that was quite cool, and I love how the story arc is taking a big hold. I think that really works here. It's really ambitious, it's really big, it's a huge story arc, I think up until now, Series 6 was the biggest story arc in terms of how many layers it had. Not necessarily a good story arc, but actually it was a good story arc, it's just it fell apart towards the end. This one is bigger, you've got so many elements of the story arc, so many characters that fit into this story arc, and it is really exciting, and I love that this was an episode based around that arc. Really let it develop and flow and excite in so many ways. Captain Jack, let's talk about him. There were rumours all through the week saying, oh, a returning character's coming back, and I was like, oh, it's going to be the Rani. That's pretty cool for me, but I'd prefer if it wasn't hyped up, if it was just like, that's cool, because I thought that woman, I can't remember her name, but the Judoon Gallifreyan woman, I thought she would be the Rani or something. But yeah, I can't put into words how excited I was when Captain Jack popped up on the screen. It was such a shock when you heard that voice, and I'm still in disbelief that he was in it. It's so great that they got him back, and it was really exciting, especially as I've only recently watched Tortured. It was just so exciting because it's something we've all wanted to see for a long, long time. Jack isn't one of my favourite characters, but it was just such a joy to see him there. Really, I was just filled with emotions, and it was a really lovely twist. He wasn't really there to serve too huge a purpose. I think whenever it cut away from him, you wanted to get back to the scenes with Captain Jack in them because it was just so exciting, and it was nice to see him have some scenes with the companions. He was sort of there as an expositional device, really, just to introduce the lone Cyberman plot. That's a really interesting plot, a really interesting thing. I may do a theory video about all of that, and what I think the series will be later on in the week. But yeah, it was just such a joy to see him there. That's one of the two big twists. It was sort of like, wow, that was an amazing plot twist, an amazing moment that I just can't get over, and is one of those Doctor Who moments where I'm just in shock and in joy and in disbelief. And I still am a day later when I'm recording this. And John Barrowman was great in this scene, so I think he'll be back in the finale. I certainly hope so. I certainly hope he crops up a few times during the Chibnall era and maybe even gets Tortured Series 5. That would be amazing, but that's not going to happen, is it? So I was thinking, yeah, wow, that was the big twist. That is the moment. That is the thing that this episode is, and then it was going to focus on the Judoon. And then they throw the twist that Jo Martin's character Ruth is the Doctor. And that deserves a whole video in its own right, to discuss that, because I've got so much to say on the matter. I couldn't believe that sequence. It was one of those moments, and that's the moment I refer to where I was in more shock than I have been for a while. So it was a rumour a few months ago that they do incarnations before William Hartnell who would be all female, and I thought it was a joke. So yeah, the reveal was great. The reveal itself, when she was revealed as the Doctor, was just a real big proper moment, and I think Jo Martin, she works in the role. She was quite domineering, quite interesting. Problem is, rewriting the whole of Doctor Who history is a bit of a problem. I'm not going to moan about it too much yet. Again, I may do a video on that, there's so much to talk about here. But I hope it's not a rewrite. I hope it's some sort of alternative universe Doctor, or maybe the Master in disguise or something, tricking the Doctor. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, this whole story arc. But I will say, as an episode, this was great, really great Doctor Who, and you know what, Doctor Who's back, isn't it? It's back on form. It's back where it needs to be. It's back delivering twists, and this felt quite like a Stephen Moffat episode actually. As well, the humour felt very Moffat-y as well, in its sort of in an innuendo-y fashion. But yeah, it was bloody good. It was really good, and the best episode of the Whittaker era by a long way. So yeah, I'm really pleasantly surprised here. I really am, and I hope Series 12 continues to deliver twists. I don't think I can cope with that every week. If they do more of the same sort of twist next week, I doubt they will, but if they do, I don't think I can cope with that. I need a rest. But a lot to unpack in the course of an hour, and this was an episode that changed Doctor Who history forever, not just for this series, but forever. And I never thought it would be that important. I just thought the Judoon, it'll be a fun run around, not filler. It may have like a story arc, a reference to the story arc, but it won't be that important. But then they just throw Captain Jack in there. They throw foreshadowing for the Cybermen. They throw a new Doctor in there. They mention the Timeless Child arc quite a lot. They mention the Doctor looking for the Master. It's just so much going on here, as well as the Judoon. The Judoon are actually the least exciting part of this episode. And yeah, please let me know your thoughts in the comments. But I still haven't really gotten over it. I'll be doing a review of Praxis next week, so please stay tuned for that. But yeah, I'm interested to see what that's like. That looks quite good from the trailers. I'll also be doing a mid-series review to see whether Doctor Who is back on track. I've sort of spoiled that already in the first 5 episodes of Series 12, and where it should, or where I want it to go in the next 5. So please don't miss that. Please like and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. I will see you next time, same space. Goodbye.